Because one of the biggest conversation in this sector, and you know, I went to the presentation AR3 and I said to them, okay, how do I know if I've got clay or ionic, right? And guys said, well, you can't unless you send it to the lab, right? So the level of understanding is poor in that sense. And a lot of people say, okay, well, these guys can't leach, it's no good. But so I'm thinking, okay, if I'm leaching less, maybe if I've got a lot of this, the volume will take care of, like, you know, a smaller percentage. So could volume be, I mean, I'm just asking the question, what you guys are thinking. Could then you guys be saying, let's go find big volume, because we know we only can get a small amount out, because that might actually make it work. Is that okay to think that way?
I think there's so many factors that come into it, you know, and that's what we're going to narrow down going forward, because you've got volume is a part of it, but you've also got to take into account, you know, for example, versus hard rock players, we'll have lower capex, we'll have lower mining costs. There's no crushing, no milling, you know. So there's a couple of, as a sector, the clay sector is quite a different proposition to the hard rock sector. And then, you know, do you need more volume? Well, potentially, but also there are other factors that come into it, like beneficiation, for example. So you might not need a big volume if you've got a good process of upgrading the in situ grade into you know, maybe factors of what it was, and all of a sudden you're putting less material through the leaching process, you know. So I think all those things need to work in combination, and we certainly haven't got there yet in West Cobar, but that's something we're working towards, you know, understanding which parameters influence it the most and what's the optimal outcome. You know, do we need, you know, what sort of resource do we need? Do we need hundreds of millions of tonnes, or, you know, potentially I would expect that we don't, but, you know, it all needs to come hand in hand with the processing side of it.
Yeah, I think without being, I mean, I have a lot of interest, obviously. As I said, I had a lot of discussion recently with the Institute of Geology in Malaysia, and they're very keen to know, because they've got some rare earths from the tin, but they're more monazite and ilmenite and things like that. And I think the jury is out. To me, the jury is out in terms of whether those that can't observe as clay, therefore you can't extract out, is not as good as Ionic, because when I look at Ionic, the volume's not so big. I think the jury is out, because it's still very early stage, right? And as like everyone else who've been in the industry a long time, we kiss many frogs and they've turned to princesses, and vice versa, right?
Yeah, correct.
So
correct.
You never make a call, because you just never know.
Yeah. Look, that's true. I think, you know, I think if you look at, again, the Esperance region, you know, we're surrounded by some motivated players, and everyone's chasing that met solution. And, you know, I think it's an interesting space to watch. I think over the next year or two, there'll be some real breakthroughs, and, you know, the whole region could end up being a fantastic source for the world. So, you know, you're right, you know, how much of it is ionic, how much of it isn't, but, you know, it'll come down to how you leach it, right? You're gonna be using different solutions, and you know, I think, to me, I look at it fundamentally, it's got to be economic, right? That's what you're working towards. Will it make money at the end of the day? How do you get to the point where you're making money? It's a combination of the capital costs, the operating costs, and obviously the operating costs of the reagents you're using through the network as well. So it's all those things. It's, you know, in an ideal world, we'd be solving that really quickly and getting to that point really quickly. We've got a journey in front of us, but I think, as you pointed out, you know, some of the key building blocks are there for us to start off, and that's where we're at the moment.